But yeah, Dale's one of those people that I want to get on here. Um, Dale, yeah, you had right, like how we were talking. Even if something's not ready, right? Like if you're working on something, that is that to me is the interesting part, right? It's not winning the championship because after you win a championship, if you've ever won something, right, or like finished something, as soon as you finish it, then you're like,
What do I
okay,
do
cool,
now?
that's done. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what's next? And it is cool to go back and do all that stuff. But while you're in the journey, right? Yeah, that is also cool to know. Like, hey, what are you trying to get to? What are the even if you're not asking for help, right? I think that stuff is interesting.
That last little example that I put on LinkedIn over the weekend got a lot of interest. So maybe that'd be something we could talk about. I have lots of topics. That and creating some labs, and I showed how to show tiered memory usage in a dashboard with some gauges within operations, and it got a lot of interest. It's not something that you can see out of the box today because it's still, I guess, tiered memory is still considered technical preview, so they don't really want you to run it in production. But in my lab, I just wanted to see how much memory it was using. So I came up with William Lamb released some scripts on how to get the data, and then I turned it into a nice dashboard.
Cool. I haven't played around with it myself yet.
And I learned last week, and I know there's been tons of talks about PowerCLI and PowerShell and stuff on community calls. I've never seen anybody actually use a PowerShell script to be like a web server without having to have a web server install. With a couple lines of code, you can turn a script that reaches into VMware products and gets data and display it as a continuously running web server without not having to have a web server installed or to be like a front end for an API calls.
Cool.
Maybe that would
That's
be a topic.
I didn't
That's
know
what
that.
I'm using for that dashboard. I just created a couple scripts. So if I gave it to somebody and they turned it on their computer, they could instantly be getting data and displaying it as a web page without having to go through, oh, do I want to use Apache or Nginx or, whatever product you might want to use for a web server, and it's cross-platform. It works on Mac, Windows, or Linux. It's pretty cool.
Well, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, for lab environments to stand up something very simple, or even if you once you would have the code running, if you would and you had a container that had PowerShell running with that script, you just reach out to your GitHub, pull that script in, and execute it, and you could instantly um, be a good code community code discussion.
I think you just found your VMware Explore session.
Hey, maybe you could help me, Frankie. Before I learned this last week, I actually presented a session at Explore for the Code Theater to use the Fast API server. And now when I learned this about PowerShell, I would love to flip that topic over to use PowerShell to do that. And maybe I'll just submit two of them and then we'll just take the Fast API one and not approve it and do this one.
Right? Yeah, we can definitely review everything. Yeah, so we're talking about just fun stuff here, right? Just nerding out and how Dale uses PowerCLI to launch a GUI, right? Yeah, to launch a GUI. Yeah, for your dashboard for whatever awesomeness you're working on, instead of actually spinning up a web server. And now that has moved over to talking about Explore and submitting sessions for Explore. So so this year, and this is definitely a change from last year and 2 years ago. Um, when you go through for Explore and submit sessions, we're still going to have like a code theater, community area, right? And what I am sure about is that it'll be a combined thing with Spring One, VMware Code, and the community calls. Yeah, community topics. So they will all be 20 minutes in length. Yeah, they'll be 20 minutes in length. And well, let me get Daniel the link. Yeah, 20 minutes in length, and they will have. Oh my God, I'm so bad at this. I'm so sorry. 20 minutes in length, and the people that get accepted, they will get an Explore Pass. Yeah, so that is that's something cool. They used to just be like the breakout session and tutorials, but now it's they're just gonna full on give you a pass. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, right, and those sessions are 20 minutes long. Yeah, so that is what's super cool. Yeah, it's 20 minutes of your time.
Doesn't
And
take long to fill 20 minutes.
no,
Yeah, it's an
exactly.
those are easy presentations. So
Are you
yeah,
still gonna have the double slots available this year?
All right, we'll certainly make that happen. So
Awesome.
Daniel, yeah, we'll certainly make it happen. Excellent. All right, so now Daniel's here.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
Lots of
Homlab
welcome,
people.
welcome.
extraordinaire.
Yes. Oh, I was
So,
looking at the earlier today, I was looking at the YouTube link that somebody shared. I think it was Martin that shared where I don't know the guy's voice. I don't know his name, but I know their voice of the people that do a whole bunch of tech stuff, and they featured your home lab, Daniel. And
yeah, the Linus Tech tips, yes. Sure.
yeah. And so one of the things that they said, I had no idea what they were doing, right? It was, and then I found out, of course, it's just another reaction video. And so they were looking at your lab, and something that made me laugh. I was like, that's cold-blooded, that's not right. Where they said this person here definitely doesn't even touch the grass, right? You never go outside. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was but it's certainly cool, right? You were like the very, very first one up there and stuff. And yeah, no, that's just cool.
It's really funny because I think I built the actual rack in 6 or 7 hours, and I done rack building for I think infrastructure for 15 years, at Deutsche Telekom, and so it was not some big business to set up the rack and get things in front really tidy. But the backside is awful. Don't look at the backside because I have a much smaller rack in starting. I think 12 units or so, and then I decide overnight, okay, I want to go bigger, and I have too much NUCs and too much minis forums, PCs, and so hey, let's order this 21 unit rack at Amazon. It looks nice. And then I see, oh, damn, it has no front and it has no back panels, so it's completely open. So what have I done? So yeah, the front looks
Awesome.
good. The back looks totally awful because every cable that I have in my home is too long or too short. And I'm sitting there and do the math and calculating, and then okay, I need cables for 300-400 euros. Or I put it in the backside and doesn't care how the backside is looking. And yeah, it's an easy choice at this point. I don't care about the backside. Sorry, what?
Isn't that what everyone does?
I hope so.
No,
I know
no.
mine looks okay at the front. At the back, it's a bit of a mess. And yeah, cable cost, it's not happening.
But it's
Yeah,
not for everybody. Like for me, even the front looks shit. So
but you have a really nice rack.
yeah, the rack is nice, but
to be fair, the rack is quite awesome, and yeah, I wish my rack would look so beautiful. Then I could put it in the TV room. But maybe my wife is not so a big fan of fancy racks, and yeah.
I mean, also I can suggest using like something like my rack because it's empty. It is like 300 kilos, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass to get it into my cellar. So it will never
There
move
to
again.
stay.
Yeah, it's really there to stay.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to the VMware Code Community Hour. today's guest, right, is Daniel Krieger. We were talking all about Homelabs. Homelab is always a fun topic, right? It's always a fun topic. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your career, or if you don't even do computer stuff in your career, right? This kind of thing is just fun because this thing belongs to you, right? This thing belongs to you. You can start with the Homelab, right? How Dale was telling us, right? If you just know how to run a PowerShell script, and you can have an your web GUI up there, and that can be considered Homelab, right? Your laptop, anything. But our guest today has taken his Homelab to like another level, on top of another level. It is quite impressive. So I wanted to hear from you, Daniel, and I think the community wants to hear from you too. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and be free. But yeah, we want to know the origin story of Daniel, and before the Homelab.
No, before the Homelab. Okay, then maybe I should start at the beginning. I'm Daniel Krieger. I'm working at Evola at a cloud architect. My main work topic is mostly NSX and VCF. But before Evola, I was 20 years at Deutsche Telekom. There I'm starting my apprenticeship, and at Deutsche Telekom, I was like, I call it like the IT janitor. So I do a lot of things, nothing really good, but most of them quite okay-ish, I think. But yeah, I have a strong network background from Cisco, Aruba, Arista. Do a lot. I think 15 years infrastructure stuff. From non-virtualization, rack and stack, with some really old Fujitsu servers and HP hardware and so on. And then I think I built with my team 5 platforms at the Deutsche Telekom, from really, we get here some nice blade servers. So let's put it all in the blade servers, and we can use some virtualization. So let's virtualization on these nice blade servers, and then we give it up with this nice blade servers. Let's do it with normal pizza boxes, like 2-unit servers and HCI and so on. And I think I do the complete stuff from, we started with Windows Server native on bare metal servers, till we have a complete virtualization environment with stateless configuration with VMware and so on. And parallel, I do all the network stuff and load balancing stuff with hardware load balancers and so on. And yeah, at some point, I stuck in my career, and I decided to choose to change my my environment and get a new job and so on. And after all, I come to Evola, and I think my Homelabs career starts a little bit before Evola, with a single Unraid server, because my Synology NAS was super slow and nothing really works. No support, old slow hardware. And the wife says, I want to watch my movies and my music and my backup, and nothing works really, really okay. And I was okay. I have a little bit time. I think the Unraid is a nice system. I try it out, and then it really goes really far with I'm starting at Evola, and hey, what's this NSX, and how I can use NSX and virtualize NSX, because I signed for this job and I have no clue what I'm doing here. So I need something like I can do self-education and try things out. And also I want to dig deep in topics and try things out, and want to achieve knowledge and want to understand the technology behind NSX and so on. And then I think I started an NSX lab on my Unraid server on KVM base, and it works totally. It was really a wonky solution and doesn't really work well, but it works. So I can install it, and I think NSX 3.1 or something on KVM hardware with nested A6i servers and so on, and the server runs permanently on 100%, and the GUI was really sluggish and nothing works really fine, but it works. And after that, I try to upgrade the NSX version, and everything broke completely, and nothing works again because of resources, internal timeouts, and so on. And that was the point where I say, okay, I need some more hardware. So, and then I go to Amazon and buy some cheap NUCs, and then I start to deploy my first lab with, I think, 3 NUCs, really low hardware, and then I deploy E6i, and my first NSXT lab runs right well, and then it's okay. But I need some kind of hardware routers, because I want to do routing on hardware base and not on VIOS software base, because I personally love VIOS, but it's quite limiting, and if you want to do some VXLAN things, you need some kind of hardware, because layer 2 always not really good to virtualize. So I'm a hardware guy. I like to touch the cables and grass, of course, but mostly cables. Yeah, and so I start to look in the vendor MikroTik. Yeah, and then the Odyssey starts. So always go bigger, and it could a little bit more. Only one cheap upgrade, and then I could so much more things. And now we are in version 6. I think I have 20,000 euros in my Homelab. Don't tell it my wife. she doesn't know. She don't know my blog, and she don't know my lab bomb, because I think I could not speak here if she really knows how expensive the stuff is. I always say it looks expensive, but it's the same thing that I have for 2 years again. And okay, she only sees, okay, this funny blinking boxes and so on. Yeah, but our video stuff and backup is also running fine, so it's okay. The main thing that I can say, start your Homelab, because it continuously it's evolving you, and you get more and more knowledge, and it's good for your career, it's good for your plans, and it's good for you, because you try things out, and it helps you a lot if you are at the customer side and have no really experience at some point. Yeah, so try things out, get playful, be playful, try not supported setups. I have at the moment, I have a VKS setup that's completely 100% not supported on VCF, but it works quite well. Yeah, I'm finished it yesterday with Max together, because he's our Kubernetes guy, and yeah, I'm not so deep in Kubernetes stuff, but yeah, and even Broadcom says that doesn't work. My experience is there's always a way to get things done, and you should explore these ways, because you are knowing, okay, this could work, this will not be working at the customer side, and you can try things out. You don't need a Homelab with a value of 20,000 euros or more, or so. You can start with, like me, with a single server. Yeah. My first Unraid setup was a cheap Fujitsu notebook that I got from the Deutsche Telekom, and I put 3 USB hard drives on this thing, and starting Unraid and start my first VM. It was awfully slow, but it works. And so, okay, the system works. So now we can talk and can look how to get this thing better to work. Yeah, that's this start things and try things out.
But what I wanted to touch back on was you said you were ready for a change, right? You noticed that your career was like in a stagnant position, and so what? And that is kind of when you went you started with your servers with your home lab. Do you feel like it was a necessary thing to get a home lab and start tinkering so that you can then increase your career or change your career trajectory or move over to how do you say your company again? Evoila?
Voilà.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like that was a necessary thing to have, or you could have just moved over to the company and started that kind of stuff?
That's it's a little bit kind of everything. So for me personally, I think it was necessary, but from Evola side, it was not necessary because Evola has also a lab that you can use. And Evola give me the time to get the knowledge for the projects. And then I say, okay, but I think the Evola lab is too limiting for me, because it's not a real customer situation. And I want to dig deeper and I want to understand why I do things. So because, yeah, I'm 5 years in consulting, and you need to sell yourself to the customer. It's not only your knowledge, but you have to give the customer a good feeling and say, okay, I care for that. I do this, and for me, it's necessary that I understand the technology that I'm selling to the customer. And for me, I need to touch the technology and I need to try the things out. So from my side, it was necessary that I start something at home. Yeah, I never dreamed about it that it will be so big. And I get I get so deep in this NSX VCF rabbit hole and build things like Kubernetes cluster at my home site, and my power bill goes up to I don't know, too much. Yeah, that was not my intention. If I starting the home lab, my first intention was I want to understand this new fascinating technology from my side, because I never done NSXT. I do the physical network, I do VXLAN and so on. And yeah, that was okay. And at this point, it was a little bit boring, and I got bored out at my job. And so I need to start something new. Evola that are supporting me as an employee, that I can do things. They have said, okay, you have 4 weeks, get your stuff right done, do it, try it out, and then we send you to the customer. And if you have questions, ask your mentor, ask your colleagues. They are helpful and they will help you. And yeah, at the end of the day, this was the initial start that I would say, okay, I want more. I want more. I don't want only do NSX. I want to see the rest of the stack. I want to do VCF, and I need a lab that can bring these things to me. So, yeah.
And it's great, right? That your employer supplies you with the lab to use. But how you said right there, that is, I think that is it's a community lab, right? Well, it's not community, but yeah, it's your work community lab, and you certainly don't want to break things or do things like that, right? Because what if your coworker, what if Max is demoing something right for a customer, and it's like, hey, dang it, Daniel broke it. Yeah, and you're like, yeah, dude, we told him not to install six things of VCF in here, and he fried it. So yeah, I think that is incredibly important to be able to especially when you're speaking in front of a customer, right? There's the book knowledge, and then also the hands-on knowledge. There's the street knowledge kind of thing. I can pass certs all day long, but when you get in front of a customer and they give you a scenario, you're like, shoot, this wasn't in the books, this wasn't in these in the exam preps. Like, I haven't touched this one. They're like, oh man, if you don't know this one, this is like the basic things. And you're like, oh shoot. Yes. So yeah, there's definitely different use cases.
And of course, in the beginning, I break so much things in my lab. So if I use our community Evola lab and I ruin things on a layer 2 base because sometimes I'm stupid and dumb and I push the button and then oh man, I think this was not a good choice. And all lights on the switch are on constantly on, and so okay, damn, I break up my lab again. So I can walk these 2 meters to my lab and go to the cables and everything is fine. But I don't want to, and that's the point. I don't want to risk someone's customer presentation because I'm stupid and dumb and think this button will be a nice solution for my problem and push it, and then everything goes down. That's that's the problem what I have with our community lab. And also at the moment, for me, for the things that I want to try out, like SSP or so, and NSX intelligence is simply too small and too slow. Yeah, that's the problem.
I see that you started blogging back in 2024, right? So April 5th, 2024 is when you first started blogging here.
In my private blog, yes.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I do some blogging at the Evola side, and I think I started 23, and I also try to get in vExpert, and there was some problems. I don't know, it's politics that in first my first try was rejected, and my second try was also rejected, and then I started okay. Then I do blogging at my private side, and some of the vExperts, VNdo, I think you know it, encouraged me to start my own blog. I think we talked in 3 o'clock in the morning and said, hey man, you must to start your own thing and write your blogs and get things done and so on. And so, yeah, okay. And then I asked Max, so I have no idea how I can host my own blog. And so, yeah, you need to do Markdown and who go and do it. And he said, oh, damn, I want an easy solution. And Max said, no, do it Markdown. It's much better. And he said, okay, I try it. And then, yeah, at the moment, I'm a really Markdown fan. Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. But sometimes I need some people that say, hey, don't be lazy, do it. So, and yeah, that's the community aspect. So we end to say, hey, do it. You have to do it. Do your blogs. It's really cool. You do great stuff. Write it down. And yeah, sometimes I need a little bit kick ass.
I think we all do.
Things, yeah.
Yeah. I like how everybody's talking about their own, right? Their own experiences, right? Yeah. And everybody's got some sort of home lab. If somebody is starting out and it doesn't have like a big budget, right? They don't have the budget right off the bat. And just like you, right? Yeah. To be fair, when you started, you said you bought 3 boxes from Amazon on the cheap, and then you made that work. So somebody starting their career and is maybe working from the help desk and wants to get into infrastructure, wants to be a developer. What would you recommend from your eyes? Start with your memory.
Totally fair. I would recommend try to get things run that everybody says it's not really working, because it's no problem to start in VCF lab if I have 2 or 3 big pizza boxes from Dell or something on, and I have 1 terabyte RAM. Yeah, it's not a big challenge to get things done with this hardware. So I would recommend it. Use the VMware player because it doesn't cost you anything. Try things out. Get old hardware. Peter was in this call for a paar minutes. He has something like a ghetto lab. Yeah, he only uses 2 NUCs with direct connection to get vSAN run and so on. Be creative. Use this what you have, and try to get things run with the cheapest hardware you can get. Yeah, because it's completely easy to get things run with expensive hardware and so on. But I guarantee you can run a VCF setup with 2 NUCs, yeah, and a little bit magic in improvisation, and you do then thing like importing an NSX, an E6i cluster with NFS and so on. Yeah, it's completely fine. You can run it with, you can hack the SDDC manager to get the cluster size smaller than 4 and so on. There are many good posts in the community. Also, William Lam is big help. Because to be honest, he has the best contacts to Broadcom, yeah, and he have engineering access and so on. So he will always be the first that do some fancy stuff and get things run on the cheapest hardware you can find, yeah, like the China NUC and so on with USB network cards. Yeah, so he will always be the first, but yeah, look at the community, look at the public posts, try things out, use this hardware that you have. Yeah, you can run an NSX cluster on a single KVM host, yeah, with Unraid or Proxmox or something other. Yeah, I tried also SSP with a Proxmox host because I had a problem. My physical cores, my physical CPU has 20 cores, logical cores, and with VMware I can't use hyper threading, so I only have 14 cores. But for SSP, I need 16 cores. So my solution was, okay, I use Proxmox and use all the 20 cores and do it nested. Finally, it's failed. Okay, fair enough. Not everything works, but at least I tried, I think 3 or 4 days. And the next solution will be, okay, I go to Max because we have a VPN tunnel, and I deploy SSP at his side, and then we connect together our VPN tunnel. So you don't need always this big hardware. Ask your colleagues, your friends, maybe you can connect together. I think I have 3 VPN tunnels with colleagues at the moment, and I have with my boss an NSX Federation lab. So, and my boss only uses 2 NUCs. Yeah, it's not so much, not so big Homelab. So, and we talk together and say, okay, I run the global manager, you run your local manager, then we use VPN and share resources and so on. Yeah, there's always be a way if you really want to deploy or test something out. And yeah, get cheap used NUCs at eBay or something else, and build your cluster and start your journey.
Yeah, I just got an alert earlier this morning or late last night of the GMK Tech. There's a new box, right? And that's the beautiful thing about technology, right? It's constantly changing. But this box, the CPU that they added on here, it's a Ryzen AI Max 395,
Yes.
and that one's got a oh man, it's got 32 threads, right? 16 cores. Yeah, so they are really maxing out these boxes, right? And that's really cool, because for somebody that doesn't have, right, the stuff, some of the coolest racks that I've seen, right, are like Lego pieces that people put together and stuff and build things, right?
Yes.
Because I don't have room. I just don't have room, right, to be running to run like an actual rack server, right? But those little mini PCs, that is super interesting to me. I wish I had, right, some Dell PowerEdge things and like do it right, but it's just not going to happen. You said, with breaking things, I have a switch. My brother-in-law, he's a network architect, so he gave me a switch. So he bought like a whole bunch from eBay, and so I was playing with it here, and I took down the Wi-Fi for some reason in the house, and I was like, what's going on? And and I was like, I don't know. And then, of course, right, then you start going through the process of elimination. Okay, what has changed in the environment? It's like, oh, well, it's that loud box that's right there. Yeah, that loud pizza box. And I was like, golly, what did I do? But yeah, right. It's things like that, right? When you get experience and you start messing with things, there's only so many things you can do within the virtual space that, yeah, you just feel the need to touch, unplug, and do that kind of stuff. What
Yeah.
technologies are coming up that that you feel excited for? Is there any possible consolidation that you're going to do to the lab, or what is the next thing the next thing that you're going to purchase in your mind? Right, I know that you bought some in these forums,
Yeah.
but what is the next thing? I hope your wife is not within earshot of you, but what is the next evolution? Right, how you said you're like in version 6. Yeah, you have posts 4 and 5. I don't think you have a post
Yes.
6, but yeah, what is version 7 look like?
My main problem is my power unit at the moment, because I'm constantly at max, and I think yesterday I first hear the overload signal from my from my small APC, and that's a little bit of problem, because the next bigger version, maybe I can't use it at a German electric network, because it has no detachable plug. So maybe I get a second one. Maybe we'll see. But I wish I have an AMD cluster, because over all the 25 years I'm in the business, I think I have one AMD cluster in my life. Oh, and I wish I can run an AMD cluster. Hind at Evola, maybe there are something coming. We will see. But yeah, that would be my next lab version. I'm hoping for the MSA2, because I don't like these big boxes, and I also I'm in the same boat like you. My Homelab is running at my workplace, at my home office, and I only have 1 square meter, and that's the limitation factor, and I don't want to get bigger as this 1 square meter. So everything has to go in this rack. Maybe I get another rack and set it on top, because I'm lying to myself and I say, oh, okay, 21 units are enough, but yeah, I should know it better. Maybe there will be a full-size rack, because it's also in square meter. And yeah, you have to pick yourself at some point. But yeah, my next evolution will be I'm selling my NUCs, maybe mostly at colleagues, because they can start their Homelab or expand their existing Homelab, and then I will get an AMD cluster, and I hopefully will run NSX on AMD cluster, because there are some limitations because of the CPU, but as always, William has a hack for it, and yeah, I think this will be work. Yeah, but I want these threads. I want, because the Minisform with i9 CPU is really a powerhouse, but you only have 14 vCPUs or physical cores with some hacks also from William. You have to enable ENP cores, or efficiency and performance cores, and you have to get things right done in the console, so you can start and install NSX. Yeah, but I need an AMD cluster with many threads. So this is my wish at this point. And we will see if I can get it.
What are some more memorable challenges that you've had getting to this stage?
I think the network was the greatest challenge, because if you start with consumer hardware and some unmanaged switches and so on, everyone has some dumb switches at home, and then you get the challenge. Okay, oh, I need jumbo frames. I need VLANs. I need some kind of routing. Where I have to start? And then I get the Hind. So I use MikroTik. They are cheap and they can a lot. And I blind as I was, I buy MikroTik and think, okay, I configured Aruba, Arista, Cisco, everything, all of the data center boxes. What could be possibly wrong? To be honest, I think I reset my complete home network 5 or 6 times, because I was, okay, let's try this switch out, and manual, yeah, I don't care about manual, let's try it out. And I got some layer 2 loops, CPU problems, etc. And things that I never thought that could happen. And yeah, and always so, damn, I can't access this switch. I built it in the rack, and now the switch is not working. Damn. So go to the rack, put it out, reset the switch, get your notebook, some running that you can access the switch. And this was the time that I have a Mac only. And this great application called Winbox only works at this point on Windows. So I have to
That's
start
wrong.
PowerShell. At the moment we have a beta and it works on
Also,
Mac.
back
but
then it worked with Wine. I used it on Mac
come
back
on,
then too.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You screwed your complete home network. Nothing is working. The wife is angry because the internet is not working. Your home media is not working. And then I install Wine and get things done. I don't think so. So I I start my good old Windows VM and get with a dump switch the network to my MikroTik and reset it again and again and again. And I think at 6 in the morning I had a stable state. Some things work, but I don't know why they work. So that was the starting point with MikroTik. So it worked, but I have no idea why, and I have no idea what I do wrong.
One of my biggest takeaways, or one of the most important lessons I did is I have a WatchGuard firebox, so it's like an enterprise firewall, and I have a home zone which runs the house, it runs Netflix, etc., and the Wi-Fi, and then the lab is off a different interface and everything else is downstream. So it's very hard when I'm labbing to take the house down. So it just takes that stress factor away of if you break something, all your stuff is broken, but you're not being shouted at by the other things. And that was one of the most important takeaways for me, is effectively giving a production network separate from what I play with and what I run betas with and what I test configs and do stuff with. That's one of my big takeaways, that if you're getting into this, try and separate your network out early, and it allows you to learn at that slower pace and de-risked. And you're going to make mistakes, and we all do, and you're going to break stuff, because that's how you learn and how you fix stuff. But if you can do that when you don't have to worry about trying to get it fixed so that you can work or people can watch TV or FaceTime, that's my takeaway.
Yeah, James, you are a much smarter person than I, because I think I'm now 3 years in the Homelab, and I do only full production tests. So that's my problem. Now, but I have 2 WAN connections, and our emergency plan is we connect to our 5G access point, and then we have internet. If I completely ruin everything, what happens from time to time? At the moment, not so often, but yeah, from time to time, I do dumb things, as always. But I would say it's the best you can do. Do dumb things, try things out, and fail, and then get better and learn why you are failing, and yeah, do it the stuff right after this.
And I think it's also most a really important thing that your Homelab is never finished. Because it's kind of funny, because I was the one suggesting to use MikroTik to Daniel. And meanwhile, I don't have a single MikroTik device anymore. And Daniel has, I think, 4 or 3.
No, 10.
Okay, 10 MikroTik devices already. So that's how it shifted. And I only use enterprise gear now, because I got fed up with MikroTik. Now I run my Homelab with Nexus and Catalysts.
I'm not at this point that I want to use enterprise hardware. I think the only enterprise hardware that I have is my FortiGate firewall. And this was
small, medium business at most.
Yeah. No, but this was also a thing that I get really cheap from Evola, and then okay, I'm done with OpenSense and pfSense. Don't get me wrong, that are good firewalls, but I have some hardware issues with one of my NUC where I run OpenSense natively. It's funny that virtualized OpenSense runs rock solid, and the native installed OpenSense on my NUC that has supported hardware runs like I don't know, completely terrible, awful. DHCP doesn't work, or it's not really working with the network chip and so on. And I think so. I don't get it. I have the same hardware like this overpriced hardware boxes that you can buy from OpenSense, and it runs awful at this point. So yeah, and then I get the possibility to buy from Max because he buy it from another colleague the 40 gate firewall, and Max don't like it, and so okay, give it to me. I give it a try, and in the first start, I don't like this firewall also. But 1vExpert, and it's a funny story. 1vExpert helped me out and teach me some things at 40gate because I'm an Cisco ASA guy or anyway, one other big vendor firewall, enterprise firewall. So I never do 40gate or a 40net at this point. And he talked to me over the vExpert channel and says, hey, I can help you. And the funny thing is, this guy is now at our company and is one of my best buddies at work. And we talk, I think I talk more to him than to my wife. And he also starts blogging and also do Homelab stuff and so on. And yeah, of course, I have a VPN tunnel to him. And we constantly chatting about how we can done our Homelab and what can we build maybe or not. And yeah, it's cool because yeah, we're getting friends over this 40gate and the problems that I have for 40gate over the vExpert community. So it's really nice. So vExpert is connecting people at this point. And yeah, I learned so much things over the vExpert channels and so on. I'm mostly active on the yeah, of course, of the Homelab channel, but I read other channels also. Yeah, but it's nice. So much people that I get introduced because in the past I working 20 years at Deutsche Telekom, 15 years on VMware, and I know no other guys from Broadcom or VMware or so on, or vExpert. I didn't know that vExpert exists. So, and I'm working only in my environment and didn't exchange. So I don't know that there's something like a VMUG or so where you can meet people and exchange things and get connected and so on. Yeah, for me, it's really great the last 3 years that I can do this, and I have a company that supports this. So next week I fly to US and go to the VMU Connect, and so it's really great that I can do some things, and that I have an employee that's supporting me to do this and get exchanged with other vExperts and people.
Going to be at a Connect as well, but we're gonna have something, and yeah, we're gonna have our little code labs there. So yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing you, man. Yeah, and to meeting you. I know Martin's gonna be there as well. A couple of years ago, but I got to go to Portugal. Yeah, to Portugal, right? And to one of these as well. It wasn't a VMUG Connect, but it was the Leader Summit, right? And yeah, that was super cool, right? To meet other VMUG leaders and just to talk, right? You know, you said, I think it is supremely important to have outlets like this, right? Like the to talk with people outside of the workspace, but I think you're extremely lucky that you have other coworkers, right, that you can nerd out with. And then, yes, then you have community here, right? Even if it's not this community, right? For those people listening here, yeah, we do have we do have the vExpert community. We have the VMware forums, everything VMware, right? vExpert, VMware code. Yeah, even if these communities don't make sense to you, right? Or well, you're watching this, so they must, right? Go find your community and link up with people that are, yeah, VMware huge, right? Nice, yeah, VMware Netherlands, excellent. One day, I want to get to that UserCon one day. But yeah, link up
Come to
with
Belgium
people.
first, man.
Oh, Belgium first. Okay, excellent, and then I'll make my way over there. I like it. But yeah, no, definitely link up with people, because I think it is extremely important, right? I think work-life balance is, I don't know if that exists, yeah, but yeah, what you want to do is not really get people around you tired, right? Yeah, and you want to possibly disconnect, right? Like I try not to talk to my family, my wife, my kids about work. I try not to. Sometimes it just comes out, right? And so that's why I need things like this, right? That's why I need chats. That's why I need, these outlets, so I can listen to. And I don't always chat in here because I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't mind looking like an idiot, but not all the time. It's got to have its limits. So I am extremely impressed with everything that goes on here in the Homelab channel, but just all these other groups, right? And yeah, how I said, I think it's very important, and it is very key, not only to career progression, but also just keeping sanity, right? To be able to have an outlet. Daniel, so is there a way, since we're wrapping up, is there a way that you can take your camera? I don't know if you're on a laptop or something like that. Can you walk us over to your lab and show us the back of the lab? I want to see the ugly cabling, because I want to show people the truth. Yeah, this is what we're all about here. Yeah, we want to show the truth.
I can try to take a photo, and I can share it here in the chat, because the cable of the webcam is really short. But
yeah,
give me a second. I try to show the ugly truth. I hope so. This will. I don't know if I'm getting it right.
No worries, because I think everybody here, right? Yeah, everybody here is in the same kind of thing, except for Max, right? Max said he's ugly in the front and the back, and
Exactly.
everybody else, right? Yeah.
I mean,
It's the picture that counts.
I also posted a picture of the front of my rack, and it, like, I don't shame about it. It looks how it looks.
I think I post on LinkedIn a really ugly picture of the front where I'm working, because of course it's not all days this fancy and it's all perfectly cabled up and so on. Most of the time it looks like I'm building the lab from stock, from ground, because I'm a layer 2 network guy. So I patch things, I try things out. I have some spare hardware that I use, especially for some labs. I can show you my lab setup, because I do everything nested. So I have one management host. In totally, I have 10 hosts, plus an self-made unraid storage type for NFS and iSCSI. So it's completely unsupported. I installed an iSCSI plugin and fiddled by ROM, tried and get to working. And surprisingly, it works really stable. And if I told you that my Unraid array is on USB shelf, that's completely unsupported from Unraid. And it works like, I think, 2 years without any flaw. So you don't have to do this. I have an old NUC Extreme 11, because I need a network card in my storage with dual 10 gigabits. So, and I have no space for disk for drive. So I buy the cheap USB enclosure and put it on the USB-C, and it completely works. And I'm quite surprised that it works like 2 years. Hopefully I don't get a big data outage. It's fun time, but yeah, it doesn't have always the supreme solution. So janky stuff also works well. But if you want, I can share my screen and we can look at my main lab, and then I can show you my actual VCF VKS setup that is completely unsupported, but it works quite well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you want to bring up that screen, and while you're bringing up the screen, I wanted to ask Tony, right, what his so yeah, please feel free to share. Yeah, let me ask Tony, what does your Homelab look like, and what does it, right, and right, I think comparison is like the enemy of progress or something like that. So don't compare yourself to this, but
Oh yeah.
right, what does your Homelab look like?
So mine's running mine's in a Amazon special rack. It's not full depth, so most of the rails don't fit. I'm sure many can identify with that. And it's, what is that? It's like 20U. But it's got and I got in trouble for this a while ago, so everything in my home lab has been converted over to Dell servers, so I'm not running anything off-brand now, but I'm running a bunch of Vertex, so I have 4 Vertex M640s, which are equivalent to R640 servers, some R730s, and 1 or 2 AMD Dell servers. What are those? 6525s, something like that. I can't remember what model they are. So yes, and it's a disaster. Awesome. Hey, that sort of looks like mine. Yes.
Yeah, that's actually true. But from the inside, it's much horrible. Yeah? It's only the cables that are outside of the case. So maybe I can send you a picture from the inside later. But yeah, it's not so fancy from the back. I try my best, but at some point I gave up and say, okay, I don't have so much cable ties to get things done. Yeah, but this is my main lab. So my always on server is this cheap NUC E3. Yeah, and this is all my management stuff. So my vSender, my login site. You can see it here. My vSender, my login site. I have for the FortiGate, I have a log server, and I have a netbox running for some kind of documentation that I always not actual. So I'm always late with the documentation. So I try my best, but you know, I don't need to tell you how how technicals people are with the documentation. So
beautiful. Thank you.
Perfect. So this is my always on management NUC. So I have this log inside, and as always, I try to do things with at least performance that I need. So my login side runs with 2 vCPUs and 8 GB of RAM, and it works completely fine. Yeah, but it's not supported anyway. Everything what you see today is not supported, but runs very well. So I have a stripped down login side. I have a stripped down log server for my FortiGate, because my FortiGate has no hard drive, so it's only used logging in the VRAM. And if you are running like EDS, IPS, and the device is calling you, hey, some website doesn't work really well, and you have no logs, you are screwed at this point. So I have this logging machine, and normally I think this machine needs 8 CPUs and I think 32 gigabytes of RAM as standard. So, and I think so, no, it will run with less. And turns out it runs with less. I have some Apple HomeKit things, and so I need an MDNS repeater because I'm one of these guys that have 50 VLANs at home because everything needs its own VLAN. And of course, the complete Apple things like sharing ATC doesn't work really well if you have different VLANs. So I have an VIOS router that I use it as MDS repeater with, I think, many subnets, and then I'm forwarding my MDNS request from my some kind of smart home. So I have some U lights and some buttons for the power outlets and so on. Nothing special. Of course, my netbox. Then my vSender deployed as tiny. Maybe I can use less RAM. I think that's too much RAM. And I have some Veeam license because I'm a vExpert. And if you're a vExpert, you get Veeam license without any costs. And yeah, backup is, of course, sometimes necessary, I think. Yeah, and with my beloved Windows 11 machine, where I rescued my MikroTik configuration at the beginning. Yeah, that's my management NUC, and then we have I call it performance cluster, and you see it a name. I think in version 3 or 4, this would be all NUC server. And now that's all Minis forum, but I'm a lazy person, so I don't want to change the DNS names. So everything in my Homelab will always be a NUC server. I don't care what real server I use. It will always be a NUC server because I have an Ansible playbook to do this DNS IPAM stuff, but I'm too lazy to change it. So I will forever be the NUC person. So even I have no NUCs in my lab anymore, it will be always in my vSender will be always a place for my NUCs. Yeah, if you change the DNS name, yeah, you will have DNS issues. Of course, you will have. So, and that is my main lab environment that I use, and I have here a small compute cluster with some, I think, i7 13 gen NUCs that I don't bring it over my heart to sell this NUCs. I don't know. I don't need this NUCs, but they are there, and I have a nice rack mount for these NUCs, and yeah, maybe they stick forever with me. I don't get it. I can't sell it, but obviously I don't use it so much. I think there is one single NSX lab that is nested and is connected to this main vSender. It's an vSAN 2-node, something like RoboCluster called, I think, with vSAN storage disks on an iSCSI device with 2.5 gigabits network. So it's a really strange solution, but it works. It runs really well. So I don't know. It's completely not supported, but it works, and it's a really strange solution. But I want to build it, and yeah, now I have it. I can't power it on at the moment because my APC will constantly do an overload beeping if I power on this lab. So I always have to choose. Okay, I want to run VCF, or I want to use my vanilla NSX environment to test some things out, like identity firewall or something else, or gateway firewall. So then I use this lab. So most of the time it's off, because at the moment VCF is most important, also for Evola, because we are one big partner for VCF deployments. Yeah, and then we can go to my nested lab, and it's completely, I think, a little bit over-engineered for a lab. But yeah, you see, I have VKS running, and I have 2 edge nodes and the ARIA suite because I did the VCF administrator exam, I think for 3 or 4 weeks, I don't know, especially. And I really don't work with this ARIA suite. So, and then, okay, the logical consequence was, okay, I deploy the ARIA suite and look at the things like how will work ARIA operations. Of course, I know ARIA operations for logs and ARIA operations for network, but I never work with this ARIA operations and for especially for the ARIA lifecycle. So, and I read it in the blueprint that will be a topic at the exam. And so, okay, get this administration guide at Broadcom side and deploy it because I have the license and I have enough room. And then I deployed the things and try it out and look at myself at how will ARIA works. And yeah, at the end of the day, it was really useful for me for the exam that I look at this specific topics because I never get. Mostly I do the NSX or I do the network VCF design for my customers, but I don't deploy especially the ARIA suite or something like that. Yeah, and so I try it out in my lab on VKS is the next thing because I run at my Homelab containers, but on Docker, on a Docker engine in Unraid. So containers for dummies, no clustering or fancy stuff. Yeah, they should work and it's okay. Yeah, so the next thing is get this VKS running, and yeah, as always it is, if you try new things out, you break things. I break this cluster in the morning and I fix it, I think 30 minutes before this call. So I can show it, but yeah. Yeah, as always, it was, yeah, I don't know why I break this. Maybe because I shut down this lab if I don't need it, because I can show you my power bill. I have here an UPS dashboard, and you see I'm running at the moment at over 600 watts. And in Germany, power is really expensive. So my costs in the last 4 months, I think, are over 400 euros at the moment. Only the lab, without any other stuff in my room or in my apartment. And yeah, you see the estimated costs. I don't think so that I'm so low at the end of the year. Maybe I'm a little bit higher, because hopefully there will be an AMD cluster in next time in my lab.
What is something that you could do? So some of our community members here, we're talking about liquid cooling. Is what is something that you can do for your home lab to reduce the cost, right, and to reduce the power consumption, to reduce the beeping, right, and for you not to burn your house down, so that, right, you know, what is something that you could do? Yeah, yeah. Are there any suggestions, or besides shutting things down?
So I'm using the heat produced by my lab to heat my water. So the warm air generated by the servers is sucked in by a heat pump, which then heats my water. So it
Okay.
reduces my electricity consumption for the heating pump.
That
Really?
would be maybe a possible solution, but I think at my room
works.
situation, not so much. The thing is, I could work at my patient. That's my little problem. I hate it to wait that some things start up. So I think William Lam built a VCF setup on only one NUC with 64 gigabytes of RAM, and he need to wait, I think, 3 or 4 hours. So, and that's not possible for me. I don't want to wait 4 hours till my lab is done. So I need it in 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then it must work because time is money, and no, it's something like a hobby for me. But yeah, in reality, I don't only do these things for me in person. So I do these things also for my company, and some parts of this lab deployment and so on, I do it in my spare time. Yeah, and then I don't want to wait 4 hours till my lab is started and I can test things out and so on. Yeah, but I try to shut down most of the resources that I don't need it. So for today, of course, I start every server that I can show you some things in my lab. But normally, I really start only 2 servers or 3 servers or 4 servers. It depends what I want to test. So this is my biggest VCF solution, because if you see it, I have lots of resources. Let me zoom in a little bit. I use a lot of resources for this special lab, because I have 6 nested ESIs and VKS and so on. My main goal is to build specific labs, because I have enough space on my storage, so I can build different labs. Mostly I use the OVA from William and make the E6i, the nested E6i, so small as possible. And also, if I deploy NSXT, I normally deploy medium and then strip down the resources, so I don't need all the servers to run my home lab. So, but yeah, for today, this is my biggest lab. So I also was a little bit dumb, because you see, I have 3 NSX managers, and I know I can deploy it with 1, but yeah, it was something like, I think, in the night, and that's okay. I want to get things done, and yeah, deploy it. I don't want to edit some configs in the SDDC manager. So deploy it. I don't care. I have enough resources. So at the moment, I think, okay, yeah, I was a little bit dumb, because I can, if I only have 1 NSX manager, maybe I could power off 1 server, or maybe 2. I have more resources for the VKS stuff and so on. Yeah, but the other thing is, I don't need ARIA in my Tanzu lab. So I think I will build another lab with stripped down resources only for Tanzu, maybe with 2 or 3 hosts, and then that's the way I do it. So mostly I start a little bit too big and try it out and get things done, and then I think, okay, how can I run this lab in an environment that's not rip my wallet too much?
Somebody, I know we've gotten some tips from the community here, right? You know, maybe segregating or separating the networks, right, from your home, from this. Maybe you said you would probably the consumer network, right? So yeah, something about the network, and then also you wish you had like an AMD lab, right? So what are some tips to round this out for somebody maybe starting, or like somebody looking to refresh their hardware?
My tip is buy used, because eBay and other platforms are full of old servers or old computers, used stuff that you have here in your home. Maybe if I tried a little bit with AI, so I use my gaming PC with the VMware player to fiddle around with the AI stuff and so on. So you don't make the same mistake and buy always new like me, because that's a personal thing that I have. So I don't really like to buy used stuff. But yeah, you don't have to use new stuffs at this thing. So buy used. There's so much. Ask your colleagues. Maybe they have some stuff at home that they don't know or don't use it anymore. So normally I sell I sell my old stuff for my colleagues to a fair price. I think it's a fair price, because I want to empowerment other colleagues to start things, to try things out. ask your employee for help. Maybe he has some old things. Maybe you have a good customer relationship and can ask customers for old hardware and so on. There are many possibilities. So don't buy new, buy smart at this point. Yeah.
Great tip. And yeah, that is something that I had written down over here when Max was when Max was giving you stuff or selling you stuff, the stuff that he didn't like anymore, and right, it irritated him. Then he gave it all to you. So then it irritated you. So, but yeah, I think that is important, right? It is very important, especially because there are workarounds, right? And maybe not something that you yourself found, but maybe that other people found and said, hey, yeah, this CPU is no longer right. It's no longer supported here. But oh, hey, if you tweak this, yeah, this is good. This is good enough, right, for Homelab,
Yeah.
right? And how you said some of the things in the beginning, they may not be running right extremely fast or something like that, but that's not what this is for, right? Yeah, and I think it is important, right? What your use case is for building a Homelab, right? Whether you want to increase your career or if you want to be prepared, more prepared to speak in front of customers, do demos, or just because you have time, right? So, okay, excellent. Any more tips from the community, Max or Tony? What would y'all suggest?
I would also say buy used, because there is, especially if you have not that big power or noise constraints, there is a lot of good deals on older server hardware that is still plenty of powerful. For example, I'm running HP Gen 9 servers, and it's more than enough. So I have like 3 hosts of them, and each of them is powerful enough to have a whole nested VCF installation, full blown with 306 manager, ARIA, and everything you need. And that works perfectly well. And another thing I would suggest is don't buy hard drives, only buy NVMe, because it's so cheap anyways today, and storage can get a bottleneck so fast.
Oh yeah.
So that would be my suggestion. Go for a big enough NVMe, and yeah, don't calculate with memory tiering, because you for sure will need more memory than you need now when you're thinking about it. And if you buy what you need now, you still have headroom to extend with memory tiering afterwards. And don't calculate this in from the beginning.
Yep. Maybe one word to memory tiering. Memory tiering works fine if you don't have a cluster. If you have one single node, you can use memory tiering, but always get in mind you have to modify your DRS settings that you don't have in your nested lab unnecessary movement, because with the default settings, your memory tiering is always will always be shift memory from disk in the RAM to the disk again, because the normal DRS settings are really aggressive at this point. And I try a lot with memory tiering, and then I gave up because my hosts only have at the moment 96 gigabytes of RAM. That's not too much. That's the point why I have 10 hosts, because clustering and so on. And this will not be working fine with memory tiering. Memory tiering is a great thing if you are one single host and you have time and can live with the limitations, because Veeam backup doesn't work with memory tiering. Because the hot plug at the moment doesn't really work. So, and those are things that I run into these issues, and I learned my lessons, and also I talked in the vExpert Discord over memory tiering and the limitations and so on, so that other don't make the same issues or think, okay, I use memory tiering, then I have 500 gigabytes of RAM and everything works. No, memory tiering is fine for VDI workloads or something else, but not for an VCF setup.
Sorry, Tony.
No
What are
worries,
your
it's all
final
good.
tips?
So, final tip, don't forget the wife acceptance factor.
Yes.
Now, one of the best tips I've ever heard, and I'm lifting this and I will be honest, is remember that when you're doing the whole life acceptance factor, that this is also your career. And for you to continue to grow and progress in your career, you need to have access to this technology, either through work or through a home lab. So you want to continue to be an IT rock star, this is necessary. So that does need to factor into the wife acceptance factor discussion.
Yeah, I don't want to over use this term with the WAF factor, but yeah, it's my wife is really supporting me, and yes, I'm joking about I think she know really good how expensive this stuff is, but she know also it's for me essential that I can do my work because I love my work most of the time. Yeah, there are days that I don't like it, but anyway, and for me it's more than work. It's also a thing like hobby, and I'm an VMware or virtualization networking enthusiast, and for me NSX is a whole new world for over 3 years now, and there are always topics that I think, oh, nice. So last thing that I explore was HCX. So oh, that's a really smart solution at this point. So how they get this idea that you can stretch your network over something like a VPN tunnel over the whole world and migrate machines. So it's, from network perspective, it's super smart and sexy how they do this. And yeah, but you need your support from your wife, your partner, or whatever you have at home. And you need this. And for me, it's especially useful that I have the support from Evola at this point, that I can do this. And for me, it's also super supportive that I have colleagues, that I have the experts, that I have the community, that I have you, that I can exchange. And yeah, there are points that I think I talked to Andrew for 8 weeks or so, and so I have no idea. I have no fun at the moment with lab, and I have no idea how I want to go in future. And then they said, hey, man, power off the lab, go out for a walk, get a clear mind, do a break, and then we talk again. And yeah, I do a break for, I think, a week. I don't write blogs. I don't use the Homelab. I don't do VMware stuff beside the work. And then I come back and say, hey, I have an idea for a blog article, and I have fun again. So, and then we're starting. And then for me, it's necessary that I have people that I can exchange, because my wife, my partner doesn't understand my work. Yeah, so I do crazy computer things and so on, and I can talk to her that I have in mind. So now I need other crazy people that are in the Homelab thing or so on, that they can exchange and say, hey, I have a funny idea. Let's do this. Yeah, let's use Proxmox that I can use more vCores for my strange lab setup. So, and if it works, it's fine. And if it's not, okay. But at least I try it. So, and at least my tip is try it out, start with everything you have, and yeah, try some things out. Even everybody says it doesn't work on your hardware and you need to buy. No, try it out. And if you fail, it's okay. Then you can think, okay, maybe it's failing because I have too less RAM or something. Then maybe you can buy some cheap other things, or ask your colleagues or something, or share resources is also a thing. I also use Max Lab, and I use the lab from my boss for the federation stuff, because I don't have so much lab resources to can all do all the stuff. So talk to your colleagues, your friends, your home lab people, and yeah, try things out and share resources and share knowledge at this point.
And don't be afraid to ask the community.
Yes, right.
Never in my mind has it ever crossed, right, where somebody asks a question in these communities here, where somebody's like, well, duh, or like, oh man, but why are you even in here? You should know that kind of stuff. No, never. It's and I think that's the awesome thing about the community, right? It's and again, it's not just the VMware community, but it's just people like that. And I think on the opposite end, if you see somebody that's in there and willing to ask, right, willing to ask that question, and you're like, hey, cool, hey, we have somebody else that has like, hey, you know what, you're a brand new face here, and hopefully that person, right, hopefully that person is surrounded by encouragement by great community members that are like, you know what, here you go, here's your answer. How about you try this? And it's crazy, when somebody asks a question and you get pop, all these responses where maybe they were asking like, hey, I just bought this, or I have this old laptop. I have no use for it. What can I do? What can I do with it? Oh man, hey, if I were you, I would do this, install, but workstation or whatever it is, right? Or all these things. And yeah, that it just energizes people and hopefully encourages them to keep the conversation going. And then yeah, it kind of opens the door for the next person. And yeah, for people to see that it's a safe environment. Yeah. And again, right, so this VMware code, but it's all part of the same umbrella. It's just like with the Vanguard, right? I love those meetings, and because they're everybody's just in there talking, and it's the same thing, right? And we have people that really know what they're talking about in there, and other people that are just starting out. And yeah. Oh, another question, Daniel. I'm sorry. It was 36 minutes over, but
No problem.
final question. Yeah, and everybody, right? Feel free to jump off. Yeah, and I'll go through, edit all these things and post it up on YouTube for everybody to enjoy. But I need to ask you, right? Automation. What automation things are you doing in your environment? Yeah, because this is VMware code, so yeah.
Yes. Um, I use some Ansible. Yeah, I'm not this automation scripting guy, but there are some mighty AI that I can ask, and I ask some colleagues for help and so on. I think I have 3 major run books, playbooks at the moment. I have one playbook because I'm super lazy. I want to start and shut down my labs in a controlled way. So in the past, I powered it off, and okay, yeah, fine. Hopefully it starts next week again, and if not, okay, then I build it again. So I have an Ansible playbook that shut down my nested labs, first the VMs, then the nested ESXIs and so on, and vice versa if I'm powered on. The second one, and maybe this one of the most used, is my IPAM playbook. So I have this idea that I have a netbox, and the netbox should be knowing all the stuff that I have. And I'm a lazy person because of DNS and so on. And then I asked ChatGPT, and I also published on my blog my playbooks to help me to get a playbook that I can ask my netbox for a free IP address in a specific network, then reserve this IP address, put my FQDN on the netbox, and on top, go to my Microsoft. And sorry for Microsoft domain, but yeah, I'm a noob on this point, and put it on my DNS and get a DNSA record and a PTR record for reverse lookup. And yeah, this is my second most lab. And then also, because most automation is, I'm lazy as fuck. Sorry for yeah. So my other automation is I have 5 MikroTik core switches, 1 for routing, 2 for iSCSI access, where all the servers are connected with 10 gigabits, then some other MikroTik stuff. And if I need a new network, and because I do all nested, and I try to separate all my nested labs in different VLANs and so on, because if I use because we have VPN tunnels and do route exchange, so every time I deploy a new network, Max will get a route from me, and Kristen, that not in the call, get also the route. So we have to carefully think what networks we use. So So I have an Ansible playbook, and this Ansible playbook configured all the VLANs on my MikroTik environment, all the gateways, and yeah, it's super easy for me to create new networks with this Ansible playbook, because MikroTik has some. I do hardware routing on this point, and that is really working well with over 10 gigabits throughput. I have to do many steps at the MikroTik, so disable hardware offloading, then get all the VLANs, get the IP addresses on the VLAN interfaces, enable hardware offloading, and so on. It's really much work to set up my VLANs, and I think the script will run 5 minutes or so over all switches that I have overall and constant configuration. So that's my main automation that I want, that I have. At the moment, I'm have some problems with Tanzu, because you have to stop and service and shut down the supervisor clusters and so on. And that's the thing that I'm working at the moment with the automation, because every time I shut down my Tanzu Kubernetes test lab, it's 50-50 that when I start it again, the Tanzu will work. Because shutdown is not so really supported at this point. So I have to do some workarounds and stop the service on the vSender, and then shut down the VMs in the correct order, and at least if I power it on, start the VMs in the right order. So NSXT has to be there, and vSender must work, and so on, so that VKS can really work without an error. But the script is at the moment, so I would say 60-70%, so not really production ready or Homelab ready. I have so many errors in the script. So yeah, we will see. Maybe it's the next blog post. I don't know. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, and how you mentioned, right? Yeah, and I do remember your blog post about it, right? Where you used, right, one of your AI friends to come up with the Ansible and start getting started with it. And I think it's a great way to get started, right? In that, I think that is just another tool, right? If we're not that, it's just another tool in the tool belt. Yeah, you gotta take advantage of your resources, and that is definitely a solid resource, right? And but with that being said, right? Yeah. You don't want to take something from in there and just run it in production. That's why you have a home lab. That's why you have a home lab, right?
Yeah.
Or a developer environment. Yeah. So no, I love it, dude. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of AI, I have no fear of AI, because, as you say, it's only a tool. At first, as I start with Ansible, I have no idea where I should start. So I stupidly go to ChatGPT and ask, hey, I want to deploy VLANs over my home lab with Ansible. I have MikroTik switches. How can I start? And then the AI says, yeah, great. Here, Daniel, try this and this and this and this. And I try it and put the code with no error correction or something else in my Ansible node, and start it, and everything goes completely wrong. And yeah, but then I say, hey, ChatGPT, maybe there are some small mistakes. Where should I show? Yeah, that's my error code. And of course, my network is not running, and my wife is yelling at me. So what should I do? Yeah, and then I think I need 6 or 8 hours with ChatGPT, and yeah, normal classic Google research and so on, because I'm no code guy. The least things that I used code was, I think, ASP.NET 2.1 or something at Deutsche Telekom for over, I don't know, 20 years. So that was my least coding experience. So, and I really start from zero with this topic, and at the moment it runs really well. Yeah, maybe it's not the best code. Maybe there are some things that I can do it better, but at the end of the day, it works fine for me and it runs. So get starting.
Exactly. Excellent. All right. So yes, let's wrap this up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us and staying extra time, right? Doubling the time almost. This
No
was fun,
problem.
right? And I think this is what this is actually what I envision these code community calls being, is everybody talking and just opening the space up for people, and hopefully having more topics like this where people have things to say, people can contribute stuff, and yeah, and how Max said, right, it's just a safe environment for everybody here. Yes, yeah, and so much engagement too in the chat, so I think this is fun, right? Thank you very much. I think I'm going to schedule another call with you. I'm going to ask you to schedule another call.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yes, like
It was
a
fun.
demo. Yeah, just a demo of something, right? And thank you very much for showing us the GUI, right, over the SCDC manager, things like that. That I think that is what attracts me, right? Yeah, I can listen to this, right, you know, over on my headphones or something, or like while driving. But yeah, if I'm on my computer, I love seeing things, right? Yeah, if you can't touch the cables, yeah, dude, I love seeing things. So yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you everybody for joining us, and yeah, look forward to the next ones. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. It was really a pleasure for me. And of course, we can reschedule another appointment and I do more showing in my lab and so on. I would be happy if I can show you more, and maybe I can show you my top-notch Ansible scripts and so on.
Definitely,
Yeah.
how you said, right? Yo, sorry, go ahead.
Actually, there could be a nice format to have, like, show your home lab. So
Yeah.
that maybe not only Daniel wants to do it, but also Tony, I don't know, to like show a bit of his home lab and how he's doing stuff, and having discussions around that. I think that could be an interesting format to have here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. I think we're all over here in this thing. So yeah, I'll go and post a question. Let's put some time on the calendar. I would love that, right? Yeah, for everybody to show off their things, and yeah, and collaborate. And like, oh, hey, cool! I didn't know you could do that. Or cool, you know, just the thing that you're talking about, the thing that you mentioned, Max, about taking the heat from your lab and heating the water. I still don't believe you. So I need to see that. Yeah, I need to see that in action. Yeah, I need to show proof. Yeah, yeah, all these kinds of things. Yeah.